Sitting between Del Monte 100% juice, sliced peaches, and Cento white clam sauce.
There you go.
Made with extra virgin olive oil, because is it a clam sauce without it? It's another episode of In the Aisle.
Virgin clam.
Hey, Jack, it's Dan and Jack.
Yeah.
Dan LaMorte and Jack Byram.
This is nice. This is the first time we've done a solo.
It's just us, not the first time.
No, but
Maybe.
first time in a little while.
First time in a little while.
I don't know if I should say, because I don't know what order these things are
Who
coming
knows?
out
There's
in.
so much room in the aisle. Honestly, this seat is life, dude.
Yeah.
I get why the guests sit on this seat.
Dan asked me if he could sit on if he could have the nice chair, as if I was going to punish you and be like, no, you have to sit on a milk crate with me.
You know what's interesting about sitting on this seat is that you hear the deli differently than when you're on the floor. When you're on the floor, you feel like you're more in your little world. I hear like customers over there.
Are you struggling to adjust to the elevation change? Like, is your breathing the same?
Yeah, you know, I've been
Altitude.
running lately, and I use this app to track it. And like after the run, sometimes it'll be like, you ran your highest elevation. I'm like, what does that mean? I didn't go up a mountain. Like, what does that mean?
Like, I'm running the same path in New Jersey every single day.
I'm out of breath no matter what. Yeah.
Do you run every day now?
I try to take 2 days off, but yeah, I've done 28 miles this week.
Really?
Yeah, my longest was a 7. I've been going to the recreation center in Manalapan, New Jersey, the Manalapan Rec Center.
Yeah.
It's inspiring to run next to the baseball fields you used to play on as a child, like get fueled by bad memories.
Right, exactly. You're like, that's where I tore my ACL.
Yeah, it's like you're getting tired, and then you just hear your dad screaming at you, like, you don't get ice cream unless you get a single, and you're like, I'm going to run.
Was your dad your coach?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Was he
Bad.
he didn't show you any did he treat you differently than anyone else, or was he
worse? I would say. He was like every like cliche father coach he was the opposite of.
Right.
Like there was a specific tournament in Pennsylvania where I was the only player on the team not to play.
Really?
I still talk about it. I've never let him live it down.
Right.
Yeah, he was ruthless, dude.
It's funny to hear that, because Dan's dad obviously is the owner of this deli, and he is the sweetest man I think I've ever met. So to imagine, I mean, he's also not my dad.
He is
so
a sweet little fella, I guess.
But it's just funny to imagine him being ruthless on you as a child.
Yeah, no, I guess it was more like he just didn't show favoritism at all, almost to the point where he went against favoritism.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was a bit intense at times.
Yeah.
But I was also like annoying on those trips because I wasn't that good of a player, and I loved pranks.
Right.
Like I loved porta potties. You know, the top, they had like the little open hole in it. I would take just like a baseball, and when someone was in there, I'd drop it into the top of the porta potty hole so it would make a splash up.
Oh, that's foul.
I
What is it?
know.
It's directly above the toilet itself.
I don't know. I mean, people never liked it. I know that always caused a stir.
Right. That is so awful. That is so disgusting to do to someone.
it's mean because there's very few moments as vulnerable as a porta potty. You're trusting the entire world.
Because all it would take, they don't require that much strength to tip them over, and if you tipped it over, you would ruin someone's week.
Yeah, I think they'll be getting shit out of crevices for a while.
Literally shit and blue dye.
And blue dye. Oh yeah, they do. And like, I don't understand how the sinks work in porta potties.
Well, I think it's just
like a foot pedal?
I think how it works is like it's the same water that's in the toilet, but it runs through a Brita filter, so you're getting the shitty water all over your hands.
Yeah, it just runs through an unchanged Brita filter,
right?
Like mine
from like 10 years ago. No one changes.
You
them.
a Brita guy?
Yeah, but it's like whatever you do, you buy it and it comes with like 4 replacement filters. I don't know if anyone buys any after that.
I don't think I've ever like if you handed me a Brita right now and a Brita filter and said replace it, I don't know, like it'd be like trying to find the clitoris.
The what?
The clitoris.
What is that?
I wouldn't locate it. Oh, how are you?
Hello.
What do you need?
Feel free, come on in.
I could grab it for you. Okay, no worries.
Can we recommend?
We're the only snacks in this aisle.
Oh, well, then you'll hate the Prego that's flavored with meat.
Yeah.
I'm a gluten-free snack.
Maybe Prego with some dipped pretzels in it will be good.
Yeah.
Oh, Prego
Come on
with
back.
pretzels.
Let us know. Is that still technically vegan if it's flavored with meat, but it's not actually meat?
It all comes back to flavor.
Yeah, it
with
always
meat.
does.
I tried telling her I was a gluten-free snack, and because she said she needed a vegan snack. I said I'm a gluten-free snack. Nothing.
Oh, that's hilarious. I
was-
didn't even hear it.
I'm feeling myself, yo. So I
You
was like,
should.
let
You
me.
are a gluten-free snack.
I'm trying, yo. It doesn't like my stomach's in that weird place now where, like, I've lost enough weight to where like I could kind of play it like an accordion, kind of like folds up like a scrunchie.
I like how you said I've lost enough weight. Like when you had more weight, it wasn't like an
It
accordion.
wasn't. It was robust, dude. It was firm.
What was it more like then?
I tweeted it was like a robust beach ball. Now it's like a deflating one. just withering away on the stadium's warning track.
It's funny because you've lost weight, but that sounds worse. Like
Yeah,
the
it
deflated
sounds-
beach ball sounds worse than the robust
Exactly.
cement beach
I
ball.
somehow found the reference that makes the fat thing sound better.
You'll never let yourself win. So when I was a kid, my dad was my basketball coach until like, I don't know, 4th grade, and then another guy was like, I want to take over, and my dad was like, that's fine. And my dad stayed on as the assistant coach.
He was known as your stepfather.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You
Jack's
imagine?
mother divorced his real father.
And then my stepfather came in and absolutely shit on my dad once more and was like, I'm not only am I taking your kid, I'm taking over as the basketball coach. No, my parents are still together. But that would have been great. I mean, if I could turn back the hands of time, that's what I would have happened.
If I could turn back time. That was just stuck in my head.
Yeah, let it out. But the guy who took over was a nice guy, and but he was nice until he coached basketball. And it was funny because it's like he was the same thing. He was the stereotypical like, you know, guy who took it too seriously.
Yeah.
And when we were in 8th grade, that
Like
was
throwing clipboards.
Right. It was like the 2008-2009 financial crisis, and this guy had a very important job at Merrill Lynch.
Yeah.
But he never missed a practice.
Okay, so you
So
guys
it
were
was
just
like-
wearing the brunt of the financial crisis.
Right. It was like unbelievable. Like he would come in and it was just like, shouldn't you be handling the economy's collapsing? Why are we let someone else take over for a couple months?
Yeah, no
And,
one ever forgot the practice after Madoff got caught.
Right, exactly.
A real lot of suicides that day.
Right.
Literally, because he caused a lot of suicides.
He did. But this guy was unbelievable because I'll never forget, like, some of the parents were like called him out on being a little too harsh on us.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay. So he told us before a game, he was like, I'm gonna be nice today, guys. Look, we're gonna go out there and we're gonna have fun. That's all that matters. It's gonna be fun. I'm gonna lay off you. I realize I've been too much. And we were really we were one of the better teams in the league. And then when we were losing at halftime to a team we should have been beating.
Oh,
And
that never
we're in
makes
the
a
locker
coach
room.
happy.
We're in the locker room, and he goes, "I know I said I was going to be nice. I know I said I was going to be polite, but you guys are playing like a bunch of fucking idiots." And we were all just like, "He can't help himself. You can't even be mad at that." It's
And
like,
did you guys pull it off?
we ended up winning because he started
so it
yelling at
worked.
us, and I was like, "Well, maybe there's a point to
There
this."
is a point to it. I had some of the meanest coaches in high school and stuff. Like I had a coach who I remember he was one of his first years and he was already mean somehow. And he made one of the heavyset pitchers on my high school team plank. And then he put his feet underneath him and ate his sandwich on top of the kid planking.
That's unbelievable.
Made him a table.
What year was this?
This was probably 2011.
Isn't it funny how that's 8 years ago, but it may as well have been like the 1970s. Like
The stuff coaches used to say. I
Yeah.
got called. There was a coach who called me nothing besides Tubby.
Yeah.
And that was in high school. He eventually got fired because he hit a kid.
Was it you?
No, he was fired from the school before him for hitting a kid too. Like just yeah,
That's his
I had a
move.
few.
That's
I
like
had
the old-
quite a few coaches in baseball lose their job. I had one. We were 12 years old, maybe. It was a travel team, and we won. We won the entire tournament, but we played sloppy in the last game. And it was the first time where I was on like a team that had players from all different towns. Maybe I was 14 years old because my dad was no longer coaching, and it's players from all different towns. Their parents are excited, so everyone's around us in the outfield to celebrate the final win. And he's pissed off because he was also a college coach but we won, and he thought we played sloppy. So he goes out the outfield. He goes, you know what? I could have been at home getting my dick sucked. And the parents are standing right there, and he was out as coach like immediately.
For like 9 innings straight, that would have been going on for him. He would
Yeah,
have
and
been getting his
it was
dick
only
sucked.
6 innings.
He would have gotten 6 innings of dick sucking. That's hilarious to me that you had a coach who got relocated. Like the approach wasn't okay, this guy's got issues, we can't let him around kids. It was okay, the kids pissed him off, let's send him to another school with better kids who he won't hit.
Oh, exactly. With baseball, it's basically like a guy loses his job because he's an old alcoholic coach.
Right.
And then a player who he somehow Stockholmed into thinking he was a nice guy will bring him onto his coaching staff years later.
Right.
So it's like this never-ending cycle of this same guy.
It's a funny thing where it's like, you know, he's probably been coaching since like the 70s, right? And so like a kid who had him in the 80s is like, he used to be so much worse to us. Kids today are soft. I'm going to bring him on. And it's like, nah, he really never should have been hitting kids.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean?
And it's always some guy name. His first name's always like Art.
Right.
Art. That was the guy's first name, Art.
Gray hair. dipping all the time.
Yeah, like a bulbous nose. I
Yeah.
love the word bulbous.
He's got like a booze hound red honker. You know, when you drink too much,
dude,
and you
there's
get that
quite
like,
a few baseball coaches with those honkers.
yeah, you get like you could see the he doesn't have like clogged pores, but the pores are very defined. You can see them on his nose.
Yeah, like it's clogged with tequila, the pores
Yeah,
somehow.
right. Yeah, exactly. That's the man I want coaching my kids.
Yeah.
I never played baseball. I hated it.
I didn't mind it as a pitcher because all we had to do was throw a ball,
Yeah.
and then we would run a lot. That was a lot of our downtime, was just running because it's good for circulation and for
Right.
pitching, apparently. And I guess I liked running at that point. It was easy.
Right.
Because you don't have to think about anything.
Did you play t-ball?
Yeah, I was never good at baseball, though, until like high school. And then that's when I started taking it serious. Even then, I
That's
hated
when I
it. I
started
never liked
juicing.
it. Yeah, that's when I learned needles go here and not there.
Yeah.
And no, I never did steroids. That was the closest thing I came to doing. I was like, this is the decision I've made. And then I didn't do it.
Why didn't you do it?
I always heard that like you were more likely to get injured if you took steroids.
Yeah.
And then I still got hurt opening day in college.
Yeah,
so-
right. You're like, why didn't I just do them?
Yeah, my coach was like, "How do you feel?" And I was like, I should have taken steroids."
Yeah.
I don't-
It's got to be the most like the ultimate miracle drug. You know what I mean? And it's like we had someone on here who was talking about taking it. Mike Cannon was talking about taking
Oh
it.
yeah.
It's just like it's a tough thing to look at because you go to if you're someone who goes to the gym a lot and then you're like, I could just be twice as big, twice as fast. Like it is the most appealing drug
Yeah,
to take.
I assume it amps you up the same way the smell of bacon just entered my nasal
dude, you're getting
passages.
that too?
Dude,
That's incredible.
You can't not get bacon when it's cooking.
We got to figure out a way to somehow get like maybe that'll be a Patreon thing. Well,
Bacon?
Yeah, no, like the smell. You get the smells of the deli sent to you. We'll do a scratch
Wow,
and sniff.
we have in the aisle candles.
It's all bacon.
Yeah, just bake. It's really overpowering bacon smells, and then the occasional like smell of a plastic crate.
Yeah, it's like, well, this November we'll be sending you the clam sauce scent.
It's called Cento white clam sauce. I don't know. Is there other colors of clam sauce? Red clam sauce, I guess.
I guess.
Let me ask you, Jack. What is a clam?
What is a clam?
Which animal is it, or fish?
What genus does it fit under?
Like, is it the one with the pearls in it? No, that's an oyster.
A clam? Yeah, I think a clam is like the less successful brother of the oyster.
I'm not a big fish food guy.
No, me either.
My parents say that's always the case, but I know exactly why. Like, when I was a kid, they would make me eat fish sticks, and they would tell me that they were chicken sticks, and then I found out they weren't. And I was like, oh my God, you guys lied to me. That's
yeah,
awful.
the betrayal is
Yeah,
more
it was
than
the
anything.
betrayal. I always associated fish with just like a snake-like behavior.
Yeah, my mom did that to me one time. She was like, when I was a kid, I really liked steak, and I didn't like much else. And she was like, do you want a tube steak? And I was like, a what? She's like, a tube steak. I'm like, what is that? And she was like, it's a hot dog. I was like, what the? You were just gonna
Yeah.
try and like I wouldn't have known when I ate it.
The
Now
tube,
I love hot
A
dogs.
tube steak. I never heard that.
Yeah, it's like a trouser snake.
I heard my dad one time we were eating dinner and he made like these special type of hot dogs, and my mom was like, "What are they called?" And he goes, "It's a hog casing." And she said, "What?" He goes, "It's a hog casing," and she didn't eat it. She got actually sick at the term hog
Yeah.
casing.
Yeah, hot dogs will do that to you. It's like the less you know, the better. That's the whole thing with hot dogs.
This is a point I've been trying to tell my friends in New Jersey lately, because we have a meat called pork roll.
Well, where you're from, you do. We call it Taylor ham.
You
up
call
north.
it Taylor ham, but it's only a New Jersey pork roll.
Right.
So depending on where you live in New Jersey, there's a meat called pork roll that, depending on your location, some will call it Taylor ham.
Right.
And we argue a lot, but the common thread is that everyone in New Jersey really does love pork roll. It's a spiced and cured processed meat.
Right.
But we're all so proud of it. Should we be? How good is a meat if it only exists in one state?
That's a good point.
If no one else, I mean, hot dogs made it internationally.
They did.
Pork roll can't cross the Hudson, man.
Yeah.
It's stuck in Jersey. They didn't
That's
make it to
really
Florida,
funny.
and they eat alligators and meth.
That's a really good point. Yeah, and like the New Jersey pride thing would be like, yeah, we're the only places who got this. But it's like, have you ever asked yourself why?
I know, but you know what? Got to be honest. At my fattest, you know what breakfast was most days?
Taylor ham.
Pork roll at fuck your Taylor ham.
Sorry, pork roll, bacon, egg, and cheese.
Pork roll, egg and cheese, and a hash brown.
Yeah.
In a wrap, a spinach wrap. I would like to. It sometimes stuffing shit inside a green wrap makes you feel a little bit better.
Right. You almost forget.
Because like the last thing you see is like the tail end of like, was that spinach?
yeah. Oh, that was a spinach wrap.
Yeah. Then you forget that there was manicured. What is it? Cured meat. What's the difference?
manicured meat.
Yeah, like I think Spam is bigger than pork roll, but Weird Al never made a pork roll song.
Have you ever had Spam?
Never eaten Spam once in my
Neither
life.
have
If it's gluten free, maybe that'll be a future episode.
We should try that. We should make our next guest eat Spam.
I feel like it's free of everything. It's just like it's like an atom made in a lab somewhere.
Yeah, it's like how can there be anything in it when it's
I gotta be honest, I don't eat. I'm a big banana guy. I like naked juices. I drink a naked juice before I run, and then I hope I don't pass out. Like that's what I wake up and I just head out. I had a scary run yesterday, man.
Why?
Like sometimes I look down because I put on music I like and I'll get into it, and I'm running, and I look up and I realize that I'm just surrounded by a rafter of wild turkeys.
A what of wild turkeys?
A rafter.
Is that?
That's the. I went home and Googled what is a group of wild turkeys called after my hand stopped shaking from the said rafter.
They're terrifying.
They're called a rafter, yeah.
They're like ugly too. They're mean.
They're ugly, and I almost felt like I was stoned, which thankfully helped because I thought before I reacted.
Right.
So I didn't shriek. I was silent. Yeah, and I looked at the turkeys, and they almost seemed like kind of happy that they didn't have another stranger screaming at them.
Right.
Like it seemed like they thought I was going to panic, and they were like, oh, yeah, it is too early for bullshit. And they kind of just parted, and I kept running.
Because they can be mean. They can be mean. And they look mean. They look
at you, this run was yesterday, which is November 17th, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, right.
And right before Thanksgiving, we're recording this. They looked at me like they knew what was coming.
Right.
They when I stopped, they were like, "Is this one of the ones that's going to eat us in a week?" And I was like, "Nah, man, gluten free now. Maybe old me running from the past."
Wouldn't that be great if how the president every year pardons a turkey? I think that's a thing.
Yeah, like a turkey just shot him.
If they just got a really angry, mean turkey, just like they made a whole scene.
A president assassinated by a turkey.
That's like a Charlie Brown episode or something like that. But
I think that'd be more of like a Twilight Zone than Charlie Brown.
Yeah,
Charlie Brown, you wouldn't be able to dig too deep into the death because the president would just be talking like blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, right.
And he'd be like, what's he saying during the death?
Maybe he has to get shot. It's a funny thing to see them because I see them occasionally in New Jersey, but I see deer more often. And when you see a turkey, it's almost like seeing a dinosaur. Like they're just jarring when you turn the corner.
Yeah, they have like talons and they don't look happy. They didn't kill me.
Yeah.
I live to tell the tale, and I live to Google what the word rafter is.
And I think that's what really matters. I think that in you're always learning.
Always learning, I think. I don't know. I've been reading out loud a new book. This book has a lot of French words in it, and I'm learning that I have no idea how to say French words out loud.
What book is it?
The Sun Also Rises by Hemingway.
Ernest Hemingway.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of Spanish words, too. Are you sure they're Spanish? Are you sure they're French?
Yeah, dude, I don't fucking know. I just get lit and read books.
Because they spend the majority of the play, or the book, in Spain.
But they're in Paris. That starts in Paris, and then they go to watch the Bulls race. I haven't got to the end yet. Don't spoil it. I've only had 1,000 years. Or has it been 100? Who knows?
It's been 100.
Yikes. It's funny that my earliest entrance into the knowledge of, like, Hemingway, Gertrude Stein, the other guy who was part of that group, Fitzgerald, was through Owen Wilson's performance in that movie, A Midnight in Paris.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
It was a great movie.
It's like quintessential Owen Wilson, man.
Yeah. He was like born to play that role.
I am genuinely one of the biggest Owen Wilson's fans.
He just seems like such a good guy. But it was so sad.
He tried to commit suicide like when we were younger, I think, and I was curious about how the media perceived depression then as now.
Right.
So I went back to look at the articles, and it was like, Owen Wilson lose his mind. And it's like, he kind of just did the normal thing.
It was also it wasn't that long after Wedding Crashers where he's got where he's got a line in the movie where after he and Vince Vaughn part ways for a brief period of time, and Vince Vaughn goes to his house, he says something along the lines of like, "You think I'm okay? I'm over here reading Don't Kill Yourself books." Yeah. And then like 2 years later, he almost killed himself.
Wow, what a movie Wedding Crashers were, though. And then they tried to repeat it with The Intern, and I loved it.
I thought it was great.
Yeah, people didn't seem to enjoy the internship.
It's funny because it's like if you have to look at it contextually, like if Wedding Crashers came out today, and I'm not talking about like in terms of like would people find it offensive? It's just like, is that the same humor? Would it sell the same?
Well, you know what? It was very inclusive because if you remember the scene where it's just the cycling footage of naked women falling on the bed, there are a lot of different diversities.
Oh, I don't remember that. That's wonderful. Wow.
That's one of the scenes I remember most in my life because I just remember like it was like shot from above the camera angle and it was just women falling on the bed.
It's funny because I remember in like the version like in theaters, or if you got the DVD, they were topless.
Yeah.
And then if you watched it on like TBS, they were wearing bras.
Yeah.
So like literally they had to get the same women to shoot. They're like, all right, put on a bra now.
Oh yeah, that is true. Oh, some of the lines they overdub with. Dub, is it overdub or is dub enough of a saying?
They
dub it over.
It's funny. It's always great in every movie. Like in Dumb and Dumber, the line is right on my ass after you kiss it, and then the line they dub it with on TBS is right on my sandwich right after you kiss it.
I think I was watching Step Brothers, and it came to the scene where they put the nutsack on the drum set,
Right.
and he goes, "You put your butthole on my drum set."
It's like, why is that better?
How is that better? That's actually a grosser image.
I
That
think
he's
that's
somehow
more, like you wouldn't blur that out.
yeah, those were men in their 40s. For him to get the hole on the drum, he would have had to spread cheek. That's a much nastier image.
Not just spread cheek, get into such an angle that is like.
Yeah, I do those angles a lot.
It's also like it just doesn't make sense because it's like the footage is him putting the ball sack on.
I know. So then it just completely, and it actually
Did it-
changes the storyline because then he adds like, "No, it was actually my nuts."
Yeah. Did they show the nutsack in the TV version?
I would guess not. I'm gonna guess the nuts didn't make it to TV.
It's such a shame. I wonder if that was Will Ferrell's actual nuts.
Do you think it was his real nuts? I feel like they wouldn't use a stunt nut.
They're like, cut, bring in the stunt nut. It's, a guy who
Bring in
looks, it's actually the guy from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, the drummer who looks just like Will Ferrell.
Wait, this is actually a great movie idea. It's Stunt Nut. It's about a guy who literally just does stunts,
But
with
he doesn't
his
do
nuts.
any of the other stunts.
No, he's like, they're like, "Who are your doubles?" And he's like, "You'll never guess who has balls that look like mine."
Yeah, right. And like when they need, like they have like 4 stuntmen on set for Will Ferrell, but the one of them is his only job is to put his nuts on things.
Yeah, and like the controversy comes from the fact that he's so good that they're even hiring him to do vaginas.
Yeah, right. This guy's universal.
And there's like a girl who's like, "I do like, what would the one Stunt Nut and Stunt Snatch?"
Yeah, or stunt.
Stunt Clam Sauce.
Right. I don't know, but yeah, exactly.
That was a bad. It was intense riff on my part.
No,
lot of nut
stunt clam
riffs.
is a thing. It would be it'd
Stunt
be like
clam. You never want your clam to stunt.
ugh,
You want it to fully prosper and
you
grow.
want it to grow fully. Yeah, you would have to be like, wouldn't that be great? They're like, we gotta hire. They're like, we're gonna do a nut scene, and the director's like, I got a hired gun I'm bringing in, and this guy's just got it. Incredible.
You wait till you see the pair.
You're gonna love this guy, and everyone on set like it's like when like everyone on set comes out to see him because he's so good at his work.
Yeah.
So like during the one scene, like no one's watching when Will Ferrell's taping, but all the PAs are there to watch this nut guy because he's just so famous for it. Everyone applauds when they call
He
cut.
finally gets his big his
Yeah.
Emmy. He's like, "I'd like to thank Gravity for
Yeah.
helping me out so far."
He's like, look, did I know that this was what I was gonna do? No, but sometimes God gives you nuts that are identical to an A-list celebrity.
What Hollywood parking lot did he rip his balls out in to get given the business card to be like, "Son, I've never seen a nut like that."
Wouldn't that be? You should start doing that on auditions. They're like, okay, we don't think you're right for the part, and you're like, well, would you also mind taking a look at my nuts just in case I could do any extra work?
Yeah, and that's how the podcast never happens and the career's over.
No,
Because
it's how your
I
career
showed
takes a quick right turn and becomes even
It's
better.
a hard business to get into now, I think, nut modeling.
Yeah, but I think if it's like anything else, if you put in the time, it's like 10,000 hours.
You got to put your best hair forward.
Did these? I'm curious now. The turkeys didn't do anything mean to you? They weren't like pecking at you.
Oh,
or
the
anything?
turkeys on my run. No,
Yeah.
they were fine. That's one of the least things I worry about on
ate
the
to
run.
see that because turkey throats look like nuts. Brings me
Oh,
back.
they got the gizzards. Is that what they
Yeah.
call guzzards? Gizzards?
Gullet maybe.
Gullet? I don't know. There's a lot of words that I kind of know but don't fully know.
Peripherally, no, so you can't drop them confidently.
Yeah.
I have. This isn't my story, but it's a guy I know. He was like a little kid growing up on Cape Cod, and he was like playing along. He was probably like 6 or 7, and he was playing by like this lake, and I think it was a swan came out, and it was really mean. It was like a mean, and it was
mean
like,
swan.
and it was like pecking at him, and he like ran away, and the thing was like honking at him and pecking at him, and he turns the corner. He's standing behind a tree.
Is this the guy who went back and murdered his family?
No, not yet. This guy, this is my brother's college roommate, and he was like standing behind the tree, like, like panicked, and like this. It was like a horror movie. And the swan starts approaching him, and he grabs a log or like a stick, and turns and swings and hits the swan, and breaks its neck.
Oh boy.
And his head is like hanging over, like you remember that scene in Terminator 2 where the liquid Terminator gets shot and he's like split into two? That's what it looked like.
Oh no.
And
poor Swan.
but the thing wasn't dead, and it was like still honking at him, and he ran away. And it's like you'll never be able to get that out of you. That's so deep in your subconscious after that.
Yeah, that's an intense story. He murdered a swan.
This same guy saw O.J. Simpson at a gas station on Cape Cod, and he saw him and was like, I gotta say something to him. It's O.J. Simpson. So he just said the first thing that came to his head, and he just goes, "Hey, O.J., not guilty, right?"
Oh no.
And O.J. just like looked at him and got in his Bronco and drove away.
That's amazing. I don't know. I've never said anything cool to a celebrity. Not once.
Is that cool, or is that like a terrible thing to? I don't know.
I think it's kind of funny because it makes fun of OJ.
Yeah.
Being like, hey, we don't care about your bullshit. He's
Yeah.
on Twitter now, OJ. He's been for a while. I don't know. A lot of followers.
People love the juice, man. They
Yeah,
always
he'll
will.
do stand-up soon. Love the Juice tour. It'll sell out.
Would you go
Sponsored
to see
by
him or
Live
no?
Nation. No. I know. I can't even watch my own stand-up.
Yeah, right.
You know how hard it is listening back to episodes of this podcast?
Yeah, it is brutal. I think he's like giving advice on Twitter too.
Oh, yeah?
If you didn't know anything, if you had no idea, you'd be like, oh wow, seems like a well-adjusted guy. Like all of his content on Twitter is very like wholesome. I think I don't watch it. I've just heard. that
Yeah,
it's
like
wholesome.
it seems like he somehow put together a pretty normal life, even though he murdered all those. Oh, no, how many was it?
It was his
It
wife.
was before
and-
us.
It was his wife. That was right around the time we were.
It's
my
like one of
mom
those
was-
news stories that weirdly always stayed relevant.
Yeah, it always will. I mean, my mom was pregnant with me when he was on the car chase, but
And then somehow, Schwimmer from Friends ended up in the whole story.
wasn't that? Did you watch that?
No, I didn't.
It was very funny because it's like, I don't think that if the Kardashians had become, like if the Kardashians weren't who they are today, I don't think that David Schwimmer's character would have been as relevant, because I don't think
Fair.
that Robert Kardashian was like, I mean, he was part of the legal team, but he wasn't. There were like so many lawyers involved.
Yeah, like his legacy came afterwards.
But the funniest part is that they include like 3 little kids who were supposed to be like the Kardashians. And it's
Yeah.
like, if they had grown up, they never would have been in there. You
that
know?
is pretty funny.
And there's a scene where he's like, "Don't kill yourself in Kimmy's room," and it's like, if she hadn't grown up to be Kim Kardashian, would you have ever included this?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Was that his big breakout role since Friends?
No, I think he's done a lot of like producing. He was in that
I
show,
love Schwimmer, man.
Band of Brothers, I think.
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
I always felt bad for my Friends. He was like a PhD who had his shit together and money and somehow was the brunt of every joke in the group.
He's such a tool. But you know what's funny is like I was talking to my brother's 30 and we were talking about it, and he goes, I was like, I just can't. Ross annoys me. He goes, when you get to a certain age, he'll be the one you relate to most.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow. So it's funny to think like every one of those characters is relevant at some point in your life.
True, yeah. That's good TV, maybe? I don't know. Friends, I don't know if, like, Friends we learned when we were on the road. We were on, 28 cities, whatever. Every city, you could always find Friends on TV.
Yeah.
No matter what the hotel chain was, you could always know that if you went back to your hotel after a show, there was a good chance you'd get fucked up and watch Friends.
Yeah.
And now it's comforting.
People hate it now. A lot of people are like,
People
it's
do
a
hate
bad
it.
show.
It is. I mean, when you watch it now, you could see where the holes in it were. But, like, to me, it's just comforting.
It's like it just reminds you of like being safe as a child.
Yeah, and whether I'm in New Jersey or Bentonville, Arkansas, one of my favorite places in the world.
You love that place. Is that where
That's where I got my wooden duck.
That's where you got. That's where Walmart is, right?
Put him in the camera.
Yeah, tell us
so-
about that thing.
Yeah, he's our little. We wanted to spruce up the place, so we added some West Bank hats. We added the wooden duck. It's like our little Tonight Show desk.
Yeah, it's perfect.
The duck. Bentonville, Arkansas is an interesting place because that's the home of Walmart.
Yeah.
I went there for the first time. I want to say 3 years ago. It was an awful show. 4 people in a really big venue. It just didn't work out. There was no draw. I was a nobody, and we didn't have that good of a time. Fast forward, I meet a new producer from there. I go back 2 years ago, sell out 2 shows on a weekend inside like it's like this facility that has restaurants, food trucks, bars, a shuffleboard court that had Everclear smoothies.
Oh Jesus
It's
Christ!
because Walmart wants all their executives to live in Bentonville.
Right.
So they dump all their money into this town and just make it this impeccable town in the middle of nowhere.
Right, you got to
It's in the middle of Arkansas. Yeah, like they have one of the greatest art museums, which is where I bought the wooden duck. That was 2 tours ago. I was partying a bit. I wasn't in a good space on that tour. It was kind of negative partying. This was 2 tours ago. And I had like $200 for souvenirs that I saved to the side to like remember the tour.
Right.
We were like maybe 2 weeks in, and I walk into the gift shop of this Crystal Bridges Art Museum in Bentonville, Arkansas. And I just go, I have $200 to spend. And then I go to the guy. The glimmer of the duck catches me immediately in the case. And I just go, how much is that duck? He goes, $200. I was like,
Yeah, right.
bag it up.
Yeah, exactly.
I brought
It's
it
like-
back last year, the wooden duck,
You brought him back?
to like a homage, or pay homage to his
Oh,
home.
I thought like to get him like waxed or something.
No, I brought
like
him into the shop. They had no recollection of ever selling wooden ducks.
Yeah, right. The guy was like, "Oh yeah, you're the kid who spent $200 on that piece of trash someone left here." And you're like,
Yeah, it was
"What?"
probably like his wooden duck that he just wanted to get rid of and
Right.
shined up.
His wife was like, "You got to throw this thing out."
But
He's
dude,
like,
this thing's
"Fine."
come on tour with me everywhere. Like fans in multiple cities have held this tour. Like people love the duck.
Yeah, he's cute.
I have psychedelic duck stickers made for this guy.
You should let me engrave my name into him.
It's kind of crazy, like just how you drive all over the road and you drive through like literally some of the shittiest places. And that's not to be mean. There's like places where the gas stations also serve as like a nail salon and they sell blinds all on like one bill. It's like it's real impoverished place. And then you're just driving and now there's just this sick town in the
Right.
middle of Arkansas where the bar has a shuffleboard court in it.
Right.
That's such a Brooklyn thing.
Yeah,
Like you're paying $12 a drink. You're like, am I really in Arkansas?
yeah, that's wild. That is unbelievable. Of all the places to do it.
Yeah, it's really a surprise. I will never not go back to Bentonville. Like the show is in the back of a brewery, and it's in where they actually brew the beer. So you're surrounded left, right, and back by the big metal vats of beer.
Yeah.
And then they set up the stage in front of the back of it, and they light it blue. It's really sick, man.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah, I talked to a kid in the front row last time we were there. He was 19 years old and married.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, and then I said, why is that? And he goes, what else are we going to do in Arkansas?
That's
and I was
true.
like, yeah, you're right, man.
Isn't that so crazy? Like you hear that and you're like, I can't even wrap my head around that.
Yeah, and he's just like, what else would you want me to do?
I don't know. You know,
Shuffleboard.
Play
as long as
shuffleboard,
you
man.
can until you can't. Just shuffleboard out of marriage.
but this kid grew up in Bentonville.
I don't know. I didn't want to get to know him that much.
Yeah, right.
If he's
You're
listening.
afraid he's gonna try to marry you.
No, he was already married.
Yeah.
I missed the boat.
You're like, it doesn't take much for this guy to just want to marry someone.
There are sometimes, I think every town I've been to on the road, any place I've visited, there's always like some small stretch that I walk through or visit or some time when I'm in that town where I'm like, I'm going to pick up and just move here and live here. Everywhere. Just like little moments will happen. I'll be like, I'll move here. I'm good. I think I'd like being on the road. Maybe that's what it is.
Nice ice cream lady. Yeah.
It is so fun traveling, just being
Well,
out every day.
you're there such a short time. It's so easy to idealize and fantasize about a life there.
Oh, yeah,
What would be?
'cause-
But if you logistically, excluding Los Angeles, if you had to pick one place in this country other than New York, where would you live?
I love Chicago.
Yeah. Well, you have a really good relationship with
Yeah,
Zanies,
but if
right?
it was like for like aesthetics, even Chicago I like aesthetically, but I always say that with the idea of comedy still somewhat in mind because there's really good clubs there
oh
in the
yeah,
scene.
of course.
But I mean, if I could just go, I love Savannah. Savannah was gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean,
New Orleans is fun. I like drinking on the street.
did you ever go to San Francisco?
Never. I'm thinking I'm going to go in February possibly.
I hear very mixed things about it. I do, and like I look at the pictures and I'm like,
That's
I can really
everywhere,
see
though.
myself being like, yeah, exactly.
I feel like there have been places where I've visited where I've come home from the tour and people were like, how was that place? And I was like, it's disgusting. I hated it.
Yeah.
And it was really just the times I was having. I visited those same places and then come back and had a good time, being like, oh, yeah, it's actually a really nice place. I was just so close-minded last time.
Right, and it's like if I went to, it would be very easy, I think. I've never been to Chicago. I don't know how. I've been to much more random places, but I've never been there. And it would be very easy if I think if I was there in like January to come back and be like, this place sucks. Because it's freezing.
It was, when I recorded my album, it was negative 23 degrees
It's
out.
unbelievable.
Yeah. It was so cold. We did a smoke session after the show, and people joined, like maybe 10 people, and I was so surprised. I thought we were going to die
Yeah.
because it was so freezing.
It really, you're like, when you're in weather like that, it feels like it's the end of the world. You're like, how can you possibly
Exactly.
survive
And
this?
for some reason, I would walk to and from the club in that weather, even though it was like a 15-minute walk, maybe. The Rosemont one, the one in Chicago's right around the corner. But when you stay at Rosemont, the hotel is like maybe a 10, 15-minute walk away. And I was doing that in that weather after a show. It's so weird to just like be freezing, but then you're also not freezing because you're thinking about the show.
Yeah.
You could think about something so much that you don't feel weather.
It really is true. But it kind of, that sort of shit, when you're in weather like that and you've never experienced it before, it feels like the end of the world. To me, it felt like, I remember the first time, like, we grew up in the East Coast, so it gets cold here. But the first time I went to Montreal and it was like negative whatever 10, did the inside of your nose freeze? Did you have that?
Yeah, the inside of my nose froze, which is scary because you feel like you're gonna stop breathing.
Yeah, that when the first time
and
that
my
happened,
beard
I
and
was like, am I
mustache freeze a
dying?
lot. Yeah, my beard freezes a lot.
Well, that's true.
Like I'll go outside not realizing like a little bit of my toothpaste was in there and it'll freeze up.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if toothpaste could freeze, so don't hold me to that. That seems like something that's scientifically not possible.
Did you when's the last time you didn't have a beard?
The last time I didn't have a beard. Oh my! I think I weirdly remember doing a NACA conference, like the showcases to get into like the college comedy circuit. I remember doing a NACA showcase 3.5 years ago at Penn State, and I recall that I had just a mustache and I shaved the entire beard off. And I remember sitting on a bench alone in Penn State thinking it was the worst possible campus to have pulled that look off.
Why is that?
Because their whole pedophilia thing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Happy Valley. And I was sitting there with the happiest of valleys across my lips.
Right above your upper lip.
That was the last time. But I went to Catholic high school, so we were always not allowed to have a beard. So it's just, I'm
They didn't let you
considering.
guys have facial hair?
No, which makes no sense to me whatsoever.
I went to an
Jesus had
all-boys
it.
Catholic high school, and we were allowed to have facial hair.
You were allowed. You should
I
be
guess
allowed
it
to.
I mean, I couldn't have grown it, so it didn't matter. But I think their whole thing was it's got to be tidy.
Tidy, yeah. We weren't allowed any of it, but like Jesus had a beard, so I didn't get it.
That's a good point.
A lot of things that, like, if you were caught seen kissing your girlfriend in the hallway, the teacher would be like, "Leave room for the Holy Spirit."
How?
Well, it's very presumptuous to assume the Holy Spirit is that horny that it's already up between our
Be
lips.
right between you. It's also funny that was the part of the Trinity that they chose.
Well, it
the
sounds
Holy
leave
Spirit.
room for your father sounds worse.
Yeah, leave room for the Son.
Yeah, leave room for your son.
I have no conceptual idea of what the spacing of a Holy Spirit looks like. I mean, if he's all encompassing and he is everywhere, if we were to leave room for the Holy Spirit, would that not mean that we should not be anywhere near each other?
I'm trying to think, what would a Holy Spirit look like?
Size wise, it's tough to say. I mean, is he viscous? You can't really make sense of.
I picture like a Pac-Man ghost, but with like a cross on.
Yeah,
It's just the Holy Spirit.
he's the Holy Spirit.
Yeah. I always pictured ghosts to be funny, but weirdly I'm like scared of ghosts. But I always
you have
picture
one
them
in
to
your
be
house,
comical.
right?
I think I have one in my house.
Yeah.
My parents seem to disagree. They seem to think they just have a son extending his stay in their house.
Yeah, right. You are. Yeah, you're your own form of ghost.
I am a ghost. I told my mom recently because she's obsessed with natural disasters. I was like, why? You had one.
That's funny. Well, what is the story
Boom.
of the ghost? I'm
Bit.
interested with ghost shit. What is the story of the ghost in your house?
So growing up, I used to. There's a master bedroom on the bottom floor of my parents' house, and then 2 bedrooms upstairs. They sleep in one upstairs. My room was across from theirs, and the master bedroom was for my grandparents. They would come over, and I remember one night, probably I was 12 years old. My dog would sleep in the room with me, and I remember waking up in the middle of the night because I felt like it got really cold in the room.
Yeah.
And he was sitting. It was maybe 2 or 3 in the morning at the edge of the bed, just straight up with the hair on his back rise like he was staring at something.
Yeah.
And then I was like, Tabasco, what's up? Tabasco, what's going on, man? And he was just staring. And then it got even colder, and I went to get out of bed to like see what was wrong with the fan. Maybe the fan was messed up, or maybe I was just going to turn it off. And when I like looked up, like I just pulled the sheet down, the cord that was in the wall of the fan flew out. Like my feet weren't even out of the bed, so I didn't step on it. Flew out of the wall. And then the next day, I started sleeping in the master bedroom
That's
downstairs.
so terrifying.
And they told me I was crazy, and I said, maybe you're right. I don't know. And Tabasco died last year, so I would say 2 years before he died, I tried to sleep in that room again because they redid it. It eventually became a storage room. Now they made it into a guest bedroom. And I tried to sleep in it again, and it was me and Tabasco. And I shit you not, I wake up in the middle of the night. He's howling, sitting on the edge of the bed, hair up. Cord rips out of the wall again, and I won't even stay in that room for more than 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's terrifying. But that just lets you know interior decorating does not solve all your problems.
No, we gave him a nicer room. We're
Yeah,
like,
right. Why would I ever leave? We had one at my house, my parents' house in New Jersey. Like when we were kids, we'd have sleepovers in the basement, and like when you turn out all the lights, like you could see. I remember seeing like the shadow like running across the wall.
Oh yeah.
And that was weird, but that's easily. It's when it's a pitch black room. It's very easy to say that it's in your head. But I remember one time there was a bunch of us, and everyone could see this. But one time everyone was like pointed it out at the same spot on the wall.
That is creepy. When everyone sees something.
I choose to live in a world where I believe in shit like it makes it more fun.
Yeah, it does.
Like, do I believe in ghosts? I don't know,
think it makes it more fun. It makes it more scary.
It just makes it more interesting.
I just choose to. I'm of the thought like, well, I guess it's the wrong thought because I'm like, why would I not? But then on the flip side, I'm not a religious person, so I don't keep that same mentality there. So I guess I can't say that.
What do you mean?
Because I was gonna say like. What was I gonna say? It was a stone thought.
You're saying that you have faith in the fact that a ghost could exist, but why wouldn't that carry over to religion?
Yeah, exactly. You made my point.
You pick and choose what's interesting to you. I don't see.
I believe in what I could see, and I saw a cord fly out of a wall. I believe in running because I could see blisters on my feet every morning
you
now.
You can see what is it? A cadoodle of turkeys?
A rafter.
Oh, right. I was close.
Rafter. I think that would be rafter. Maybe it's rafter.
Hey, the emphasis is wherever you want to put it.
That's life.
Yeah.
The emphasis is wherever you want to put it.
It's so true. It's beautiful.
What did you do last week? Anything fun?
I didn't do anything crazy. I went out on Saturday, which I rarely go out like late because I don't.
What is going out to?
Well,
like
it's
a
just
bar?
like if my friends are out at a bar, I'll go meet them. But I don't drink, so it's kind of like I always say this. It's a thing where like my night now that I don't drink ends about 3 hours earlier because what happens when you're at a bar and you're shit faced is like after midnight. Everything just repeats itself. Like the night just sort of starts over, only everyone's drunk now.
Fair.
So it's like when I was wasted, time flies. And when you're sober, time goes like, it almost feels like it goes slower.
It does, yeah.
So like when I would go out to these bars and like, with my friends, after midnight, like 1, 2, 3 o'clock when everyone's wasted and I'm sober, I'm like, you already told me this story. I already know the punchline. Like it's almost like they don't remember. It's like a horror movie where I'm like, how is no one aware?
Yeah.
But I don't. But anyway,
they're giving you the same present, expecting you to be happy each time. You're like, you already gave this to me.
Yeah, right.
5 minutes ago,
it's
I
like
unwrapped it. It's still the same thing.
Right. It's like Groundhog Day. So but every once in a while, obviously, I still go out. So like, I'm out with my friend and one of my buddies is like, come meet me. And it was like 3 o'clock, and I'm like, I just want to go home to bed. And my friend I'm with, she's like, come on, let's go see him. It'll be fun. And I'm like, all right, whatever. And he goes, when you get to the door, like, use this name. And I'm like, dude, that's not my scene.
Yeah.
I'm 24. I'm not 19 anymore. I'm not wowed by a place where I need a name to get in. If anything, that's just like, nah, for me, that's a red flag. And we go in, and it's this downstairs, and it's like dark. And everyone in there is like, non-discreetly like railing lines off their thumb, and I'm like,
nice.
what am I doing here?
Hell
you know what
yeah.
I mean? Like, but it was funny because my friend
What was the
like,
password?
The password, Clam Sauce. My friend was wasted, and it was funny. He was like dancing with this girl, and they're like, he's like all over her, and she's like really into it. And then he looks up and sees me and my friend, and he's just like, hey, and runs down to us, and we're like, you can go back to hang out with your girl. And he's like, no, what's going on with you guys? So it was worth it to see him, but beyond that, you start feeling you're at an Eyes Wide Shut party. I'm like, I got to get out of here. It's too dark down here.
Fair. I feel like I'm at that good age now where I have enough friends who do cocaine and Molly that I don't need to go out because I'll just get the messages from them when they're out about how much fun they're having.
Right.
And how much they love me. And I'm like, oh, this is the same thing as being out with them.
That's exactly it. Isn't that the worst? Isn't that like, and I can't judge it because I've been there before, but there's nothing worse than when your friend is like wasted telling you how much they appreciate you, but you're sober and you're just like, yeah, I get it, man.
Yeah.
Like, I got
I
the
get
message.
it, dude. I'm good for putting up with you.
Yeah,
Thank
right.
you. Friends are an interesting thing.
I hate it because people like when they want advice from me when they're drunk, I'm like, I'm happy to give you this advice, but let's do it tomorrow so I don't have to do it again tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'd rather give you it for the first time tomorrow.
Yeah, old friends too is becoming tougher. Like having to because we're at that age now where like sometimes the only way to keep a conversation going is to bring up the past.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh boy, what have we not talked about yet in this hangout? Did we talk about that time you brought a bicycle on the bus? Yeah, we did. Fuck.
Yeah, right. You're like, it comes up every time we hang out. Isn't that funny when you've stopped creating new memories with people? All you can do is cling to the old ones.
Yeah, I like to say an old friend is like a carousel. You never make a plan to see one. You should just stumble upon it. Because the only thing keeping it alive in your life is nostalgia.
Yeah, right. It's true.
The only good memories you have are distorted ones from the past.
It's true. And I love that. I love being able to reminisce, but it's like,
Yeah, I
you
like it
can't-
once in once every 2 months maybe.
But then if you see that friend 2 days in a row, you're like, you remember yesterday when we talked about 4 years ago?
yeah, like when their real personality comes out, when the stock lines are gone,
Right.
and like you're like, oh, this is who you've become. Shit.
Yeah. I saw a kid recently I went to high school with, and I just like, towards the end of high school, like we were friends because we were in the same friend group, and
we were in the same friend group.
you know what I mean? Like
A story as old as time.
Right. And by the end of high school, he really kind of became like a caricature of himself, and like, you know, I didn't really enjoy his company, to put it nicely, but I was never gonna, I didn't hate him. I was just like not really about him. And then I saw him recently. I probably haven't seen him in 6 years, and he's worse than I remember. He's just so difficult to be around. He's so obnoxious. I remember he just took something I said that had nothing to do with him so personally, and like shit on me, and I was just like, dude, we don't go to school together anymore. I don't have to pretend to like you. Like, I'll make sure that this never happens again.
And I hate the we can't just do like comics when we see each other. We could riff like it's
Right.
been,
And it has
but
nothing.
for some reason with real friends, it's not the same.
No, it was just really uncomfortable. And I said to one of my friends, I was like, dude, have you had to hang out with so-and-so recently? He goes, no, why? And I was like, don't. If you can avoid
Have
it.
you had to?
Right.
Like it was a task.
That was our whole dynamic. That was our whole relationship, was like I would never hit him up to hang out, just me and him. But it's like, hey, you're friends with my friend, so through the transitive property, we are friends.
I had a friend come to Manifest show this past week in my monthly show in the city that I hadn't seen in like a decade. And like, luckily he found his way into the green room before the show looking for the bathroom, so I got to talk. But after the show, I didn't see him at all.
Do you think he just left?
I think it's hard because like when friends come to see you at a show, you want to say hello to all of them after, but it's tough because like one of them ends up giving you a joint, and then you just stay with that group.
Right. He is now your preferred friend of the evening.
Yeah, like there was 3 different groups we were trying to get out to go to the same bar, and it just wasn't working. We ended up all back at the Grizzly Pear, as one does.
Right, as you do. Dude, I forgot about this because it was such a small moment, but I did a show last year that was like, I did like an extended set. I did like 30 minutes or something, and I promoted it, and a bunch of my friends came out. And after the show, all my friends were coming up and saying hello and lying to me, saying I was funny. And my best friend from 8th grade, who I may have seen one more time since 8th grade, but we were inseparable. He was my best buddy. And even after that, I maybe saw him in high school once. That was it. And he comes up to me after the show, and he's just like, hey, and shakes my hand, and he was like, good job. And I was like stunned to see him. I was like, dude, what are you doing? And like, I turned away real quick. I was like, hold on, and said hello to someone. And when I looked back, he was gone. And I was like, this was my best friend. And then it was like, almost like, was he actually here, or did I just invent that in my head?
Yeah.
You know? Because it was like so quick, and he was gone.
Yeah, and like you had just gotten off stage, so like sometimes you see shit in that moment.
Right.
My favorite offstage thing is when you walk past someone and they say nothing, and you're like, thank you. As if they just said good set.
Yeah, right. I had one. So Chris Hamilton was hosting that.
Did you text him though, the kid, and find out, or did?
I think I texted him. Was like, "Thanks for coming." He was like, "Yeah, of course." But that was it.
Wow,
That
so
might
no
have not
hang
even
after
happened.
that.
No, I think he kind of realized. That's kind of how I am. Like, if it's not my best friend in the whole world, and I go to something like, even like with you, when I went to see you at Gotham, I consider you one of my closer friends, but you had so many people there that I was like, I don't want him to feel like he has to,
I know.
I'm going to go up to him
I had to
and
try
say,
to sell merch. So many of them didn't buy it. Cheap
so
fucks.
I said hello to you. I was like, that was great, obviously. Gave you a hug, and I was like, I'll talk to you this week, because I knew you had to handle your business. That, to me, is a sign of a good friend, is being aware of, like, you have to handle.
Yeah, you didn't come out drinking with us?
No, I had to go home, I think.
I think I got drunk that night.
But that same night where I did the 30 minutes, Chris Hamilton was hosting, and I guess one of my friends was sitting right up front.
Yeah.
And he didn't realize that when the host comes up, I have to shake his hand, and that's the end of the show. So I have my hand out waiting for Chris to come shake my hand, and my buddy stands up and gives me a hug. And I looked at him, I was like, that wasn't for you.
Oh, that's pretty funny. He thought you were you were going to crowd surf.
First thing I saw was him, and I was like, dude.
Yeah. Oh, have you ever, how funny would it be to crowd surf as a comic?
It'd be so bad.
Like I've seen it at festivals, like comics put together a festival and then crowd surf at it. I've seen like comics opening for musicians do it, but like I'm talking comedy club, like a Funny Bone on the road. Just do a set and then jump in and try to crowd
There's like
surf.
15 people there.
Yeah, I could see you just smash your head off a souvenir glass.
I think it'd be really funny because like the spacing between tables wouldn't make sense of it. You know what I mean? So like
it would be impossible.
The first group would try to grab you, and then you'd fall back onto the stage.
Yeah, you would like just fall to a waitress's foot. She'd be
Right.
like, I'm trying to get the 2-drink minimum, man. What are you doing?
Yeah. You owe the club a new stool because your head broke it on your fall.
Wow, I've never had to pay a club money, thankfully.
No?
I've owed one time I did a show in New Jersey and 2 guys attacked me. Well, 3 guys attacked me when I was on stage and they got kicked out and I got docked $30 for the pay.
Why'd they fight you?
I think we talked about this on this. I made fun of one of their shirts and it was like a Grateful Dead shirt and he got really offended. He was like, he's a local legend. And I was like, we're in Englishtown, New Jersey. He's from San Francisco, man. You don't know the definition of local.
Right.
And then like they attacked me. One took off his shirt. Luckily, I got off one
Was
hit.
it a Grateful Dead shirt?
It was a Grateful Dead shirt. Yeah, there was
That
like,
he took off?
Yep. Then there happened to like a guy at the bar had the Grateful Dead tattooed on his calf and like jumped in on the fight.
Really ironic for such a like Jerry Garcia would not have wanted that. It's a
Yeah, I
very
know. The whole
peaceful
time
group.
I was like, I'm a Fish fan.
Yeah.
I'm just a different kind of peaceful.
It's funny that you made fun of him for his shirt, and then when he fought you, he took the shirt off. So clearly you got under his skin.
Yeah, but that's comedy though, right? I went to get paid after, and the guy's like, I got to take away $30 because 3 people got kicked out. I was young at the time, so I was like, yeah, whatever. But it's not like they got refunded for leaving the show.
Right, so the money's there
yeah,
anyway.
the money was there anyway. He was
They'll
just
find any
finding
way
an
to-
extra way to make $30.
Right, make it how you can.
And like I ran into that kid like a few weeks ago, and he was trying to be like buddy with me, and I was like, I wonder if people like that remember them fucking you out of money, or if it just goes away because they did it to other people.
That happened. My buddy one time threw a party in high school, and I remember it was like a whole big. His dad was going out of town, and his dad had like this bachelor pad, and it was like kind of perfect for throwing a party. And we went and we bought it was like right around the time Project X came out, so we were
Yep.
kind of like,
Oh,
we're gonna do this
God.
right. And we bought this ridiculous sound system. He spent like $500 or $600, and we were like 16
On a sound system for one party.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I never saw the speakers again. And then like that same kid, the party got busted. I think I've told you the story. We end up all getting in trouble. And then my senior year, that was my sophomore year. My senior year of high school, he throws a party, and his dad ended up buying a mansion. And my buddy's like, I said to my friend who threw the party, I was like, wasn't that kid at your old party? Didn't he buy the speakers with us? He goes, yeah. I go, whatever happened to those speakers? He goes, that kid kept them and never gave them back to me.
Wow.
So the whole night I kept subtly bringing up to him in front of the kid. I was like, dude, that party was great. You remember those speakers? And the kid just like wouldn't admit that he stole them.
That's crazy. Wouldn't admit that.
Yeah.
I remember my favorite thing I saw a kid do at a high school party. There was he used to do it at a lot of them. Eventually he got caught because you do it in the same town too many times. But he would just stand at the front door of house parties and tell people it was $4 to get in or $5, and he would take their money, and then he would just leave the party.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't even a kid who really liked to party.
Right.
He just knew he would get money,
Smart.
and then he would dip out. So smart.
I remember when my friend threw that second party at his house. There were so many people. There were hundreds of people, and we didn't know the majority of them. And at a certain point, we had to turn people away. It wasn't anything personal. It was just like, we're
but
going
it
to
becomes personal because it's high school.
Right. So he says I'll never forget, this random kid shows up who we don't know. And my buddy goes, listen, man, we can't let you in. It's too packed. And the kid goes, you'll regret this. And we're like, is he putting a hex on us?
Yeah.
Like, what does he do? So we're like, everyone's like, yeah, right. Like, we'll regret this. And that party was probably in like May or June. And then I think in like July or August, we were like trying to find plans one night. And someone goes, oh, we're going to a party in, West Orange or wherever it was. And we're like, oh, cool. See if we can come through. And the guy who we're texting goes, ironically, this is the guy whose party it is the same one who you wouldn't let into your party. He is now collecting on that debt he promised you. He won't let you in.
Ah, touche.
I'm like, what are the chances?
High school parties were so chaotic. Like, I try to look back on them, and like, were they really that fun, or was just the idea of us getting away with it what made it fun?
Well, here's the thing. I think it was fun, but I think it was a lot of that. And it was also like, at the time, you're like, we're 18, we're 19, like, we can do this. It's okay. I look back, I'm like, I totally understand why parents wouldn't want us doing that. It was so unsafe.
Yeah, it's amazing that short time ago we were feeling invincible, and now I like just might have gout.
You might. You probably. Do you think you have gout?
No, I don't.
I don't think you.
I don't think I've
You're
had
running
any
too much.
I'm running too. Yeah, it would be hard to run with gout.
Yeah,
it's a lot painful in the big toe.
And I say this every time. I don't think anyone's gotten gout since Henry VIII.
It seems like a common thing. I think.
What are you doing? Like eating chicken legs all day? Like.
Yeah, well, I think gout. I don't know about because I've tweeted gout jokes and then people respond to me like, "That's not what gout is." Like clearly people who have it.
Right,
And I want to be
really
like, well, then
offended.
send me a picture then. Be like, is it
I
a
want to see
skinny
your
thing?
swollen big toe.
Yeah, dude, the big toe pain.
The last thing I'll tell you was when that same party I'll never forget, someone punched a hole in the wall, which is like, all right, great. Now we're busted. Like
I
now
still
we're
have
beyond
a picture of a flower in my bedroom that has
covering
a
the
hole
hole
behind it.
because it's like now we can't. It's like we could have potentially gotten away with this before. Now we can't because no one's gonna come in here and spackle it and put up drywall. But my one friend took it upon himself to find the kid who punched the hole. But my friend was wasted, and he's walking around, and he goes up to a kid with a bloody hand, and he goes, "Dude, someone punched a hole in the wall." And the kid's like, "Ah, that sucks. I hope you find who did it." And he's like, "Me too."
That's pretty funny. The crazy, I mean, I would say it sounds like a fake story, but the craziest thing that ever happened at a high school party was I never liked going out. I wasn't a big guy and wanting to go out, but my friends get me out to a party. I'm the designated driver of the night, so I'm literally not drinking. I'm not smoking. It's in an Old Bridge, a few towns over. We go. We don't stay that long. We're walking back to my car. I'm driving an Altima. Me, passenger, and then 2 in the back, so 4 total. And a group of guys from Freehold Borough run up on us and jump us. They hit me with a I don't know what they hit me with. They hit me in the face. They punched me a few times, and they hit me in the leg with an object, took out my leg. I stayed standing. They dropped one of my friends. They jumped all 4 of us and then just ran off. And it turns out they mistook us for other people. They thought I was a different fat guy.
And that was like the one time you decided to go out. You're like, I'm
yeah,
never leaving again.
They smoked me out the next week, and like I was like, yeah, I guess it's fine.
Yeah. That would give you agoraphobia to be like,
Yeah.
I hardly ever leave my house, and the one time
I'm
I
still
do.
so proud I stayed standing because I got hit a few times in the head. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was bracing on the car. Like, that's a cool moment when you and your friends pull away. Like, we did that thing where we drove away, and then we parked, like, maybe 5 minutes later to just be like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, right.
Like, did that just happen? Did you feel yourself? Did you get hit with an object?
Yeah, right. Try and make sense of that.
Yeah, it was so weird.
That is like...
But then they smoked me out, and like anytime someone is like, "How strong is weed?" I tell them that story, and I'm like, "Yeah." And then they smoked me out. We're still Facebook friends.
Right, you can get over it.
That's how
You can
strong
learn
weed
to-
is.
You can learn to forgive that. I've almost gotten into fights a couple times. Very, very sparingly does it happen.
Have you ever been in like a full-on fist fight?
No, because I think I look at people and let them know very clearly, like that's not what I'm about, and then they look at me and realize like I remember one time a kid like got mad at me at a bar or something for I don't even know why.
Yeah.
But like he was like, let's fight, and I just like pulled him aside and was just like, I don't do that, you know?
Yeah.
And once I didn't engage with him at all, and like I ended up making him laugh and stuff, and was just like, do you really want to do this? He was like cool with it, and he shook my hand or whatever. But I just look at them, and if you just laugh and you're like, dude, that's not what I'm into. You don't really. What are they gonna do?
Fair. Yeah. I mean,
Unless
you have
someone
to
just
have really
he could have
pissed
just
them
swung
off.
at me, and it's like, great. Now I fucking got
Yeah,
punched in the
you
face.
pull yourself closer to him to talk to him, and then he just hits you.
I'm like, well, but I said to him, I'm like, what would you gain from hitting me right now? Like, I'm not gonna fight back because that's not my thing. I'm like,
so you tried to talk him down.
and it worked. I'm just like, what satisfaction are you gonna get from this? Like, we're both gonna get thrown out, maybe go to jail. And then he realized, like, I was just, you know what happened was, me and my friend we were really drunk, and we were in college, and we were. It was just a random guy, and we started talking to him in a British accent. And it was very poorly done. And once he found out that we weren't British, he felt like he'd been betrayed so badly. That's why he wanted to fight me.
Was he British?
No.
No, just a regular dude.
But I think
he was just upset.
like,
and like,
nobody deceives me.
yeah, how dare you dupe me?
Yeah.
And then he was fine with it? You calmed him
I
down?
pulled him aside and was like, dude, I'm a comedian. Like, I was just breaking your balls, and you know, I don't want to fight you, but if you want to punch me, I guess that's your prerogative. And he was like, okay. And he was like, once, you know what's funny? Once he found out I did comedy, he was like, oh, that's really cool. Like, maybe I'll come see a show.
And then fight at a show.
And I was like, no, never.
I've definitely
I don't
been
want
in
you near me.
fights. I'm not as good as de-escalating like that. Like, if I can be that person sometimes, but if the other person is escalating, I will escalate.
Yeah, you
as
match
well.
their energy. I've seen you do that before.
Yeah, like my posture changes, my eyes change. Like I at the Grizzly Pair, remember, dude? I put that dude's head in the wall.
Yeah.
He came up to me. He heckled me in the showroom, and then after he came up to me and touched me on the shoulder, and I just turned around and grabbed him by the neck and
Great.
pushed his head
It's
to the
like
wall.
You do it before anything can happen. I mean,
I've also been punched in the face and unsuccessfully. Like, I've been beat up before.
Yeah, I think it's like, I don't want to generalize and say it's because of one thing, but I think the sports I played growing up partially contributed to that. Because, like, you played football and baseball where it's like brawling could be a part of it. I
Yeah.
played basketball, and it was so rare that anything happened that it's not in my nature. Like, to me, fighting is so foreign. But if you're like my football playing friends, like, if a fight happens, they're like, yeah, this is what we'll do. They're used to the contact. I never got into that.
The guys who row, they fight a lot.
Yeah.
No, I have no idea.
It might be
It seems
true.
like they'd be good at punching, but
No,
only at
no.
low angles. They could really hit you in the knee hard.
Nobody's willing to do more shit than wrestlers, though.
No, how much time are we at, Jack?
We're at an hour.
I feel like this has been a good episode.
Yeah, we'll cut it off. I'm because I'm starving.
You're so hungry. I need a pee. Is that a peppermint tea? I like a tea. I've gotten back into tea.
And I love that about you. It's a good fit for you.
Now I need a tea
You
and
were
a
like,
gluten-free crumpet.
I mean this with all due respect. You were like unrecognizable from the man I met. Because I guarantee you that if I had met you when I was 21 and you were 21, and I was like, I'm going to go get a tea, you would have just been like, are you fucking kidding me? A tea?
Yeah.
You, like, smacked it out of my hands.
And those were good words you used. I don't
Yeah.
think I would have said it just like that. Yeah, I'm a new man. A lot has to deal with my peppermint tea.
Well, I've loved you all along, but you are a very gentle soul now.
Well, as always, we've been in the aisle. I'm Dan.
I'm Jack.
See you later, Clam Sauce.
Bye.